Yo. Welcome back to Son of a Preacher Man. As always, I'm your host. Soapman is in the house. So, as I stated before, I've dedicated the last 5 or 6 episodes to discussing and explaining different aspects of the creation story. But did you know that the creation story is really the modern Big Bang theory? Yeah, that's crazy, right? Because how would primitive people know and understand something as sophisticated as the Big Bang theory? But the ancient creation story, Moses' version of the creation story in the Bible, which is in Genesis, and the modern Big Bang theory, they're all the same. And you don't have to take my word for it. All you have to do is look. This is a model of the modern day Big Bang theory. And I'm gonna explain it real quick. Okay, so this model of the Big Bang theory is how modern science says the universe was made. It shows a sequence of events happening in succession, one leading right into the other. Now, according to the Big Bang theory, the creation of the universe started with a bang, thus the name Big Bang theory. But what you need to know and understand is that this explosion, or so-called bang, seems to have come out of nowhere. Black, empty space. So if you're looking at this as a sequence of events, then the first scene should start as nothing, just black, dark emptiness. Then all of a sudden, bang, a flash, and this process begins. Okay, so imagine if you're looking at this model here, you see the obvious bang at the beginning. I just want you to understand, before this happened, this is a model of something that took billions of years to happen. Modern science says that the universe is 13.8 billion years old. So this entire sequence takes 13.8 billion years to happen. And you see the Earth here at the end of the model. But back here at the beginning of the model, you see this bang, this explosion, this light. Before this happens, there is nothing. But you can't put that into one slide. But you see this bang occurs in the middle of darkness. So darkness would be the first scene, and then this bang would occur after the darkness. So what occurs next is a period of very hot gas. You see these molecules and atoms. I'm not gonna go all into that. I don't think you're interested. So there's a period where there's a bang, and then there's a period of nothing but hot gas. People, this is what will become heaven. All these molecules that you see right here in this slide, in this red hot gas, will eventually become the contents of the universe. The next thing you see is darkness, because there's a period where after this enormous bang, the light dies out, there's darkness, things begin to cool, and then they begin to cool enough to where stars begin to form, galaxies, and subsequently planets. Okay, so that's just the Big Bang theory in a nutshell. Some scientists believe that this slide continues. They believe that the universe started with this bang, it was created, and that the universe will eventually die out. And so the sequence will be repeated over and over again, kind of like cars on a train. Never-ending, infinite cars on a train, this occurring infinitely over and over and over, over the course of trillions and trillions of years. Now let me explain to you how scientists developed the theory, the Big Bang Theory, to begin with. Modern day scientists noticed that the universe was moving. They noticed that it was in motion. Everything, all of it, our planet, our sun, our galaxy, all the galaxies, all the stars in every galaxy, they noticed that the entire universe was moving through space and time. Okay, so scientists said, if the universe is moving through space and time, what would we find if we traced our movement and trajectory backwards? Imagine being fired from a gun. Imagine a bullet being fired from a gun. Now freeze that bullet being right when it's being fired from the gun. Now you can gather a lot of evidence and learn a lot from this bullet that has just been fired from this gun. You can, depending on if it hits something, you can tell by the impact, you know what I'm saying? Whether it was a large caliber bullet, you could tell, from the bullet being fired, its trajectory, which way it's going. You can tell a lot about a bullet that's fired from a gun. The most important thing that you would be able to tell is where it came from. These days, our technology affords us to be able to tell the make and model of the gun that fired the bullet without even having the gun. We can take the evidence from the fired bullet, no gun, and tell you the make and model of the gun that fired that bullet. So imagine living on a bullet. That bullet is your planet or your universe. And you notice that it was moving through space and time, like today's modern scientists. You could trace your trajectory backwards. From the information that you gather from that bullet that you live on, you could trace the trajectory of that bullet or planet or universe backwards. And what you should find is an explosion. By all the laws that we have learned and live by and trust, all the laws of physics, matter can't be created or destroyed, positive stimulus equates a positive response, for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction, all of these things. If you was to trace the trajectory of that moving object, be it a planet, a universe, or a bullet, at some point in time in the history of that planet, bullet, or universe, there should be a bang. There should be something with enough force to have propelled that object to the speed that it is currently at the moment. There's only one problem with this analogy. We can do this with a bullet. We can trace the bullet back to its gun, and yes, there's an explosion, there's a pin that hits the bullet, there's gunpowder. It makes sense. Not so much with the Big Bang Theory. With the Big Bang Theory, there's no gun. We don't know what caused the bang, and there's no evidence of what caused the bang. Why do you think it's called the Big Bang Theory? We can pretty much prove everything in this model. The bang, this period of hot gas where hydrogen and helium were first created, this cooling off period, the creation of the stars and galaxies and moons and planets. We have evidence, we can prove all of it. But before this bang, we have nothing. It doesn't matter what model you use. This is a circular model of the Big Bang Theory. Because the thing is, We don't know if the Big Bang Theory, there's certain things we don't know about the Big Bang Theory. We know a lot of things, but there's certain things we don't know. For instance, we don't know if the bang happened in all directions or if it just happened in one general direction. This is a circular model of the Big Bang Theory, meaning this is a model of the Big Bang Theory happening in a spherical, all direction kind of way. But the model is still the same. You have this bang, you have this period of hot gas where the first molecules are created, you have this cooling off darkness period, and eventually the creation of stars, galaxies, and planets. Look at this model I put it here for you. If you can read this, this has the Big Bang Theory, or the creation of the universe, in 7 steps. If you can read this, and I hope you can see this, the first 3 steps happen in under 1 second. This was an enormous mega kablooey. The first 3 steps of the Big Bang Theory, out of 7 steps, the first 3 happen in under 1 second. The next step is under 3 minutes. So within the first 3 minutes of the Big Bang Theory, you're already halfway done. But the rest of the series of events will take billions of years to complete, billions of years. But this is a circular model because we don't know if it happened in all directions or in just one general direction. Again, I want to emphasize this 100 times. You start off with a scene of complete darkness, then bang, this flash, this period of hot gas where the first atoms are created, a period, a cooling off darkness period, and then you have the emergence of stars, galaxies, moons, and planets. Okay, so I want to hone in on this bang. I want to hone in on this light at the beginning of the Big Bang model. The bang in the Big Bang model, the proverbial bang. We don't have the evidence to say what caused that bang. We know common sense tells us a bang doesn't come out of anywhere. But all the science says this is how it happened. It started with the bang. Even the ancient Chinese writers say that darkness, that the world or the universe started with darkness, that from out of darkness came light. From darkness came light is what the ancient Chinese writers say. And Moses agrees in his story in Genesis. Modern day science agrees with the Big Bang Theory, and the ancient Mesopotamians agree with their creation story. Okay, so all these creation stories, whether it's told by Moses or the ancient Babylonians or by modern day scientists, they all start with a bang. They all at some point come to a part early in the story where there's light. It says it right there in the Bible. And the Lord said, "Let there be light." So you have this period of darkness, and then just out of nowhere, you have this bang or this explosion. We don't really know. Modern day scientists for a long time thought it was an actual explosion, that the bang in the Big Bang Theory was an explosion, a huge explosion of a magnitude that has never happened again and will never happen again unless some people are right about universes dying out and starting over again. But what they once thought was an explosion, now they're not so sure. Now they think it was more of an expansion. Well, they don't even really know what it was. Something along them lines, something like an explosion, something like an expansion. Look, whatever it was, for our learning purposes, let's just call it light. Early in the creation story, there is an unexplainable light that comes out of the emptiness of space. Can we all agree on that? The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So we know this is how heaven is created. Modern day science says that the beginning of the universe started with this light or explosion. This is how heaven was created. So regardless to whether we understand where this bang come from, we know what's happening. We know heaven is being created. So the Bible says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Now it's going to tell you how he did that. It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, yada, yada, yada. And it says, and God said, let there be light. Okay, here we are. We get to something we can understand. We get to something we can relate to. We know what light is. We don't know what all that other stuff is. It says, let there be light. We understand somewhat, to a degree, what light is. And our modern day creation story also starts with light. Here's the thing. The Bible tells you where the light comes from. It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. That's where the light comes from. But since people don't understand this part, they just skip it. They go right to the light. Listen to this. Let me read this. Please listen. Let me take the time to read this again. Because the Bible is telling you where the light comes from. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay, you should get that and understand that. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now it's going to explain how. It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. That's where the light came from. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. So where it came from, the Bible gives you clues. The Bible gives you clues as to where the light comes from. It says that there was darkness, clue number one. Clue number two, it was on that darkness was on the face of the deep. That's clue number two. And it says the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. That's clue number three. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. So it's telling you where the light is coming from, but since we don't understand it, we just skip it. I told you a few episodes ago that light came from a black hole. That what the Bible was describing when it says darkness was on the face of the deep was the singularity of the black hole, or the whole of the black hole. And that what the face of the waters were the black hole's accretion disk. So if I'm right about this light or this bang in the Big Bang Theory coming from a black hole, if I'm right about the creation story in the Bible describing a black hole, the darkness, the face of the deep, and the face of the waters. Soapman said, you heard it here. You only heard it here. Who else said this? In your life, in your minuscule lifespan. Who else have you heard say this? I'll tell you, no one. Nobody. I said that the Bible was talking about a black hole. And if I'm right, then there should somehow be light associated with black holes, because we know a lot about black holes. Turns out there is. This is a black hole. You really can't see it. And against the black, dark background of space, they're almost impossible to see. There are a few ways to spot a black hole. One of the ways to spot a black hole is when it's feeding. When a black hole starts feeding, its accretion, it forms what's called an accretion disk. The accretion disk is this huge expanse of clouds, gas, hot plasma that swirls and orbits the black hole, or the edge of the black hole, which is called the event horizon. Folks, black holes eat planets. They eat stars, they eat suns, they eat planets, they eat moons, they eat entire galaxies. And when they start to feed, they light up like a Christmas tree. And when they light up, that's one of the easiest ways to spot them. And so there is light associated with the black hole. But the light of a black hole's accretion disk is not what I'm talking about. If it were, that would be a cheap attempt, in my opinion at least. That would be a cheap attempt to associate this light with the light of what the Bible is talking about. Let me just make this quick point. It was the accretion disk that was the key to me solving this riddle. The ancient Babylonians described this sea of chaos called the Apsu. They called it a sea of chaos. In the Bible, Moses calls it the face of the waters. I took a long time studying this, years upon years upon years. Finally, it hit me. They're not talking about an ocean because the earth hasn't been created yet. They're talking about something in space. So this sea can't be water. But if you could imagine, or if you were to see this accretion disk around a black hole, this swirling mass of, you can't even call it fire because it's so much hotter than that. This swirling mass of gas and plasma crashing into itself, folding over itself, this convoluted, discombobulated chaos swirling around this event horizon. The phrase sea of chaos would be an accurate description. That's how I cracked this mystery. But I'm not talking about the light from the accretion disk. That's not what I'm talking about. When a black hole feeds, it does what we call today burp. And this is another colloquialism, because it's not an official term. It's a colloquialism. It's more of a nickname. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that black holes do what we do when we eat? When we eat, do we not belch and burp? Black holes are very similar to us. When it eats, it burps. It kind of sheds a new light on when God says in the Bible he made us in his own image? If it doesn't, it should. These things are ginormous. They are big beyond your belief. If something falls across that event horizon of a black hole, it is never escaping. Imagine something eating something the size of our sun. You wake up and you look up and you see the sun every day. Imagine something swallowing that whole. And as it does, it's going to belch or burp or emit or project what's called a jet stream or relativistic jet or a burp. And when this jet stream emits from this black hole, it is a bang of such a magnitude, it is beyond your imagination. There is nothing you can compare it to. It's not as big as the bang in the Big Bang Theory, but it's still nothing you could compare this cosmic Goliath. These jet streams shoot across space for hundreds and sometimes hundreds of millions of light years. Did you hear me? I said light years. So we're talking about a bang of immense proportion, stretching across, spanning across the sky, across the deep space for hundreds of millions of light years. And this is how the universe was created, according to the Bible, according to the ancient texts from ancient people, and according to modern day science. Folks, all the evidence is there. All the evidence is there. When the Bible says, let there be light, this is what it's talking about. It's when modern day Big Bang Theory talks about a big bang. This is what it's talking about. The burp of a black hole. All the evidence is there. The rest, as they say, is history. There is not much daylight. Listen, there's not much daylight between the creation story, that Moses told, the creation story that the ancient Babylonians told, the creation story that the ancient Sumerians told, the ancient Assyrians, the ancient Egyptians, and the story in the Bible. And modern day Big Bang Theory. There's not much difference. There are slight differences. But this basically generally the same story. You can look at it and tell. And you heard it here first. It started with a black hole. That, when the Bible says, and God said that let there be light, he's describing the burp, what we call a burp of a black hole. Yo, folks, I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Son of a Preacher Man. Please be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and the notification bell. If you got any questions, comments, or insults, please leave them in the comments section. You want to argue, fight, I love to. You want to chop it up, you got a topic you want me to cover or talk about, leave it in the comments section. Till then, till next time, I'll see you. Same soap time, same soap channel. Deuces.